Hey everyone, my name is Landon,
And I'm Michael.
and welcome to the In Their 20s Talk Show, a show where we interview influential people to speak about what they did in their 20s. Today, we just got out of an interview with Darius Fleming, former NFL, played with the 49ers and Patriots, played alongside Tom Brady, won a Super Bowl with the Patriots, and transitioned over to corporate America, currently leads sports partnership with Cameo. It was a pretty good interview. What do you think, Michael?
I think it was a great interview. He
Yeah,
touched on a lot of things that, fans of football or just people who aren't part of that field don't really think about, like your first year in the NFL and how challenging that is, and kind of the pressure that fans and your team that have on you, and you need to perform at your top every game that you go out. So it was really interesting to see his perspective on that.
100%. Super nice guy. My favorite part was just hearing about the skills that he, gained when he was in the NFL and the skills that he's been able to apply to corporate America. Things like teamwork, building out your network, sustaining relationships. These are all things that, he really learned back when he was playing and now is doing so well, working at Cameo and the past companies he's been with because he's been able to take those skills and apply them to today. So really awesome interview.
And guys, before we get into this interview, make sure that you are clicking that subscribe button down below and commenting. Say something you like about the interview, say something you don't like. Tell us your comments so we can make this the best interview for you in the future.
100%. All right, let's jump in.
Fellas.
Hey, Darius, how you doing?
What's up, Mike? What's up, Brandon? How you doing? Are you in Chicago as well?
Yeah, me and Landon, we're actually like a block from each other in the South Loop.
Are you about to say like we're looking across the table actually?
We have done that for a few interviews, but not today. Yeah, but man, really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with us today. Shouldn't take too long, but this is all really helpful just for students trying to navigate their 20s during this very difficult time. We just want to be able to provide people with good advice from people who want to talk about their experiences.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me, man.
Of course. So I know, you did a lot in your 20s, and we're going to go over a lot of different periods in the decade. But I think the best place to start is with your college days. So of course, if you could walk us through, what your experiences as a student athlete were like, probably some of the best advice you got when you were a student athlete, and if you 100% knew while you were in college that you wanted a career in the NFL.
Yeah, college was awesome. I was fortunate enough to go to Notre Dame, being the first member of my family to graduate college. So, I didn't have many, people to lean on as far as advice or things like that, when I was entering into that space. But, my career over Notre Dame was amazing. Met a lot of great people. I think, the football in general just taught me a lot of things. It taught me about hard work, sacrifice, dedication, just accountability, things of that. Definitely the toughness of the classroom and the athletic field, was challenging, but I think it was what I needed at that time to kind of get me prepped up for the craziness of today's world, right? So appreciate everything, that went through there. And, honestly, playing football was a dream of mine as far as getting to college, but I didn't really know that I was going to have the opportunity to go, play at the next level. But I, worked hard. I did what I had to do. And I think what I noticed during my junior year was that I had a shot to really go somewhere with this game. And, I really started to focus up and, put more attention to the, just details on being a more successful player, taking care of the things in the classroom so I didn't have any distractions. I think that was one of my biggest focuses. And, if I had to give advice, throughout that time, I would say really leverage the relationships and the networking that you have an opportunity to have while you're in college, because you meet so many amazing people. You start to foster so many, amazing relationships. But I think at times we take it for granted and we don't really understand the impact that they might have on our lives later down the road. So, I look at times where I would meet, different people left and right, and I never got an email, or maybe I did even get a card, but I never followed up, and I lost the email and things of such. So just really taking advantage of those moments and not really, taking any relationship or friendship for granted.
I love that you mentioned that, just like the importance of networking. You never know, how far these relationships can go. And now we have so many tools. I mean, LinkedIn being one of those where, it's easier for us to keep track of people, stay accountable with, reaching out, following up. So that's a really good skill that people should have in their 20s.
Oh,
Yeah, and there's these experiences that you had at Notre Dame led you to have an amazing career in the NFL. You were a linebacker that was drafted in 2012. You were able to play on both the 49ers and the Patriots. And you even got the opportunity while in your 20s to play alongside Tom Brady and win a Super Bowl with him, which is that's just insane by itself. So what advice have you heard from other players while you were playing? What overall was just your experiences in the NFL? And what was like that first year, like that transition from college to NFL?
I'll start with the last question first. And I think the transition was tough, being a kid who came from the South Side of Chicago with, not much growing up. You get drafted in the 5th round. You are told that you're going to make this amount of money, and you're thrown into a world that you really aren't really familiar with. So it's challenging. It's hard not to get kind of thrown or, entangled in that whirlwind because it's something completely new to you. But I also think it's something that, you have to make mistakes along the way throughout that time to kind of educate yourself and, become wiser in a sense. You definitely can learn from others' mistakes. But for me, that first year was a time where I just really had to adapt. I was on another side of the country. I've never been in California outside of playing, the Trojans when I was with with Notre Dame. So I just being on the other side of the world was a challenge in itself. Being in warm climates and not, being used to, the elements was different for me. So there was a lot of different, a lot of moving parts. But overall, I think my first year was exactly what I needed. I had a lot of adversity, but a lot of things throughout that first year helped me grow into the player and the man that I am today. I would say as far as advice from, the older players when I did enter the NFL, it was always about just staying in your lane, staying true to yourself, controlling what you can control because, the NFL is a business. It's not like, I work at Cameo now and it's cool, but if I have a bad month or I have a bad day, I'm not really necessarily worried about losing my job. But in the NFL, that's how you wake up every morning. You're waking up on a sword and you don't know how that day is going to go or where it's going to end or, if you'll even still be on the team. So it's mentally challenging, it's physically challenging. And I think that's where fans kind of miss it. They only see Sundays. They don't see that grind from, Monday to Saturday. That's really the hard part of being an NFL player.
Right, because that one day that you're on TV doing your best, it took all that work throughout the week to do your best. And yeah, I love the point that you made that when you're in the NFL, they expect you to be at your best at every moment. Whereas, if you're in a normal business job, you might mess up that, and that's something that they can work with you with. But in the NFL, it could be just something drastic. Maybe you lose the game or something like that. It could be something a lot bigger impact. So.
Totally. I mean, I look at we're all Chicago guys, right? So you look at Cody Parkey, a guy who misses a kick in a crucial game. If I mess up, something on a deal or, something doesn't close right, yeah, I'm going to get a slap on the wrist. Everybody's going to feel bad for me and that I didn't close it. But I'm probably still going to be at the company. Versus you look at him, the city wasn't behind him. I'm sure his teammates are pretty upset. And that just goes to show you that, there's a lot of pressure on these guys as they step on that field. And I think that's what we forget about a little bit.
It's pressure that the fans should have more respect for sure. But again, a lot of people just don't see that. So, you did mention, your transition now into the business world. That's something that we're really interested in talking about as well with you. So you did have a few jobs post-NFL, worked for LinkedIn for a period of time as an account executive. Currently, you're the head of sports partnerships with Cameo, one of the hottest startups in the world. We wanted to now discuss, how has that transition been? And what is the best advice that you received when you then, came into the corporate world from the NFL?
I love what I'm doing now. I love my job. I love waking up on Mondays and not, my
Hmm.
body not hurting. But I think, what I was able to take from the playing field is, that live and die by the same sort of mentality. Like we're so used to the grind. We're so used to, you know, success, success, success. Like, what have you done for me lately? We're always trying to get better. And I think that's helped me to evolve into a good salesman because even though my job or my day to day might be a little slower and less demanding than it was on the playing field, what I notice is that that mentality helps me with, success, being successful in this space. And, transition in itself was difficult because I really didn't know what I wanted to do at first.
Hmm.
Being a player, a lot of these guys are playing football for 15 to 20 years before they're thrown into a world where, some guys like you guys might have had dreams of being in the position that you guys are in now. As you graduate, you know what you want to do. And I think that's where our mentality was when it came to football. And then as you're 30 years old, you're now thrown into a space where everybody was training to be, the best salesperson or the best marketing person. So it's a phase that it definitely takes time to get used to. But I think what we've done in the past gives us a little upper hand as far as that transition goes, and it's a little easier than maybe most.
Of course. So then, on top of that, with your current role at Cameo, since you did mention a few questions ago, the importance of networking and building relationships and sustaining those relationships, how have you utilized, your network with the NFL, with athletes in the current position that you have with Cameo?
Yeah, it's played a huge role. Obviously, in the NFL, as a player, you get connected with so many guys.
Hmm.
It doesn't even matter if you play together; you just can relate. So it's an easy connection. So I think having those conversations with guys and being able to relate to what's important to them and being able to speak their language has definitely, brought a lot of value to me as I've had these conversations about Cameo and getting guys
Hmm.
set up. And it's fun. I get to engage with guys who wearing the same shoes that I've worn. So being able to assist them with things that are important to them, whether that's putting money into their own pockets or
Hmm.
supporting a charity or foundation, it's been a pleasure to work with a lot of these guys.
And as you can, from your current position, networking's obviously been a big skill that you may have got from the NFL. What are some other skills that you've brought into the business world that you may have gained from the NFL career?
I think there's the teamwork aspect, right? Like
Mm.
I know I think if anything I can bring is just the team aspect of things. Like I know how to work with guys, get on the same page and kind of accomplish a common goal. And I think at times that's missed in the corporate space because we are always thinking about ourselves. We're always thinking about how can I, do something that's going to bring success to my own pocket versus, there are a lot of times where that team aspect needs to play a part because you have to think about the company as the goal. And I think at Cameo, we're in a great position to where we can work as a unit, and I enjoy that part because I kind of miss that from playing ball a little bit.
And our last question now for you is just thinking about 2020. We've seen so much uncertainty. A lot of people have questions about their future and even what they should be doing right now in the present day, in their 20s. What is your best advice right now for people in their 20s when it comes to remaining resilient during a year like 2020?
Yeah, 2020 is a year that I don't think anybody planned for, right? So,
Yeah.
there isn't a secret sauce or anything that's going to get you through this like ease. But I think you just got to keep chugging, man. I think take advantage of the moment, right? We're at home, you're in front of your computer. You have time to research these companies. Like I feel like a lot of times we're thrown into positions because we don't necessarily know what we want to do, and then we're forced to just try it out, and then eventually we realize that it's not something we want to do long term. But I think this is a great opportunity for guys like yourself to really start to dig deep into these companies, start to look into your Rolodex of network, and start to ask these big questions that are going to help you, have a smoother path moving forward. Because you don't necessarily have to have 4 to 5 jobs before you figure out what your dream job is. I think you guys are in a position to where you can figure that out now. Eliminate some of those roadblocks and really set yourself up for success as things do start to open back up. Because even though things might not be as smooth as they were, the world's start to come back to normal. Jobs are starting to open back up. Things are starting to some normalcy. So I think just set yourself up for success as the world continues to regroup.
Of course, no, I agree 100%. We have all this time indoors now. I mean, you got to use it efficiently and, learn new things, pick up new hobbies, connect with new people.
Exactly.
So when we do see a sense of normalcy, whatever that looks like in the future, you can be prepared for that.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, how were you able to? Because I think in your position, you were probably used to meeting with clients or new talent that you were going to bring on to Cameo. How were you able to transition from an in-person kind of face-to-face clientele to more of the at-home work?
Yeah, I'm just adapting. I think like everybody else, man. Like you said, like you guys are in front of your computers, you're on your phones. So as useful as it was and beneficial as it was to have these in-person meetings and flying around the country, it has been useful to just send an email or send a DM or I'm always putting talent first, right? I want to keep them safe. I don't want to travel to their homes and families where they have kids. So I think by me taking that into consideration and using the resources that I have has been accepted pretty well.
Awesome. Well, Darius, it was a pleasure. Thank you again for taking time out of your day to speak with us. Michael, did you have any additional questions for Darius?
No, Darius, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was amazing to speak with you and talk about your experiences in the NFL. Really amazing how you were able to shift from the NFL to the corporate world and really use skills from both career lines.
100%.
Landon, Mike, I appreciate you guys. I think it's awesome what you're doing. I think it's crucial to to be there and be a resource to educate guys as they deal with this time. So kudos to you guys and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you so much. It really means a lot.
Thanks.
We'll be keeping you updated. We'll post this in a few weeks. But again, thank you. It really means a lot.
Of course, man. Anytime you need me, man. I got some. If you want to interview some more guys, let me know, man. I got some guys that might be interested and just open to at least having a conversation with you. So.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that'd be super helpful.
I got some guys in some different industries like marijuana, from football to marijuana industry, from football to tricking, from all type of stuff. So just let me know, bro.
That would be awesome. Thank you, man. Really appreciate you.
Yep, no worries.
All right. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.